comes a moment in your life when adding more won't save you. Not more motivation, not more hacks, not more podcasts, not more productivity systems, not more people telling you how to live. Because the truth is darker than that. Most people are not suffering because they lack something. They're suffering because they refuse to remove what is poisoning them. And poison rarely looks dangerous at first. Sometimes it looks like entertainment. Sometimes it looks like friendship. Sometimes it looks like staying up late because you deserve to relax. Sometimes it sounds like the need to explain yourself to people who are never going to understand you anyway. This is why some people stay stuck for years. They keep trying to build a better life on top of chaos. They keep trying to become powerful while still feeding weakness. They keep asking for peace while protecting the very habits that destroy it. But the Stoics understood something most people never learn. Transformation is not always about adding. Sometimes it's about a silent purge, a private removal, a clean cut, a quiet refusal. No announcement, no dramatic post, no speech. Just one thing after another. Gone. And when that happens, something strange begins to take shape. Your mind gets quieter, your decisions get cleaner, your energy stops leaking, your emotions stop controlling you. Your presence changes. You become calmer, sharper, harder to manipulate, harder to distract, harder to break. So if life has felt heavy lately, if your focus has been fractured, if your peace has been expensive, then this is your sign, not to do more, but to delete, quietly. Here are 15 things you need to remove from your life if you want real change, not fake inspiration, not temporary motivation, the kind of inner shift that makes people look at you and wonder what happened. So take a breath, and let's begin. 1. Delete the need to explain yourself to everyone. There's a strange kind of exhaustion that comes from constantly explaining yourself. Explaining why you changed. Explaining why you said no. Explaining why you left. Explaining why you're no longer available in the same way you used to be. And most of the time, the people demanding explanations are not seeking understanding. They are seeking control. Because the moment you constantly explain yourself, you unconsciously place your identity in other people's hands. You start managing perception instead of managing your life. And eventually, you stop asking, "Is this right?" and start asking, "Will they approve?" That is the beginning of psychological slavery. Marcus Aurelius warned himself constantly about this. Not because he was weak, but because even emperors are tempted by approval. Stoic philosophy teaches something simple and brutal. You do not need universal approval to live truthfully. Some people will misunderstand your boundaries. Let them. Some people will call your growth selfish. Let them. Some people only like the version of you that had no standards, no silence, no self-respect. That version of you was easier to use. You do not owe a long explanation for choosing peace over chaos. People who truly respect you rarely demand endless explanations. Most explanations are not communication. They are emotional permission requests. So stop over-explaining your silence, your growth, your distance, your standards, your healing. Sometimes the most powerful sentence is not spoken out loud. It is the one you say to yourself, "I know why I'm doing this." That is enough. Delete the need to defend every decision, not because you're cold, because your life cannot become a courtroom where every choice is put on trial. Quiet people become dangerous when they stop explaining and start acting with clarity. 2. Delete the habit of checking who notices you. Be honest. How much of your emotional state has been handed over to people who barely think about you? Who viewed the story? Who liked the post? Who didn't text back? Who noticed your silence? Who noticed your glow up? This is one of the most modern forms of self-abandonment. You begin living in reaction to invisible audiences. The Stoics would call this slavery. Because if your mood rises and falls based on who acknowledges you, your inner world has no center. Epictetus taught that freedom begins the moment you stop attaching yourself to what is outside your control. And attention, especially the shallow, inconsistent attention of other people, is one of the most unstable things in the world. Today they praise you. Tomorrow they ignore you. The day after that, they envy you. None of it is stable enough to build an identity on. You were not born to refresh your worth. You were not born to perform your life in exchange for tiny digital signals that disappear in seconds. Stop checking who noticed. Start noticing yourself. Notice your discipline. Notice your patterns. Notice the peace you feel when you stop auditioning for relevance. There is deep power in becoming less visible to people and more visible to your own conscience. Delete the habit of monitoring who sees you. The right people won't need reminders, and the wrong people were never worth the performance. 3. Delete old resentment you secretly keep alive. Some people don't ruin your present because they are still in your life. They ruin it because they still live in your mind. The argument from 3 years ago. The betrayal you replay in the shower. The person you imagine confronting. The apology you never received. The injustice you keep feeding with memory. Resentment is heavy because it disguises itself as strength. It whispers, "If I hold on to this, I stay protected." But what it really does is chain your peace to a moment that is already dead. And you can see it in people who carry it, in their face, their voice, their energy. Bitterness ages people because your body remembers what your mind keeps repeating. The Stoics never said pain isn't real. They never asked you to pretend betrayal doesn't hurt. But they did warn against becoming emotionally loyal to the wound. Because once hurt becomes identity, healing feels like losing something. Some people hurt you because they were unconscious, others because they were broken, others because they were weak. And carrying hatred for all of it will not rebuild your peace. Forgiveness, in the Stoic sense, is not saying what happened was acceptable. It is deciding, you no longer get free rent inside my mind. You don't need to call them. You don't need closure from them. You don't need the final speech. Sometimes closure is simply this. They did what they did. It changed me. But it will not define the rest of my life. Delete the resentment you rehearse in secret. Not for them. For the version of you that deserves lighter mornings. 4. Delete fake urgency. Modern life trains you to panic. Answer now. Decide now. React now. Post now. Keep up. Catch up. Don't fall behind. But fake urgency is one of the biggest thieves of wisdom. Most panic changes nothing. It only destroys clarity. Think about how many moments you ruined because you reacted too quickly. An impulsive text, an emotional decision, an unnecessary argument, a fearful assumption. 1 minute of emotional chaos can create years of consequences. Epictetus taught that events themselves do not disturb us. Our interpretation does. And once you understand that, you stop letting every inconvenience commandeer your emotional state. Most of what feels urgent is not actually important. It just arrives loudly, and loud things trick people into worship. The Stoics valued pause, not laziness. Pause, the space between stimulus and response, the breath between insult and reaction, the moment where a person chooses not what is easiest, but what is right. Calmness sees what panic misses, a message marked urgent, a crisis someone created with poor planning, a trend that insists if you're not moving fast, you're losing. Delete fake urgency. If it truly matters, it can survive a thoughtful pause. The person who always reacts fastest often regrets the most. The person who learns to wait just long enough to think clearly becomes almost impossible to manipulate. Peace is not passive. Sometimes it is simply refusing to be rushed by noise. 5. Delete comparison, disguised as inspiration. Not all inspiration is healthy. Some of it is just envy wearing better clothes. You tell yourself you're motivated by them, but every time you see their success, your chest tightens. Every time they win, you feel late. Every time they shine, your own life feels smaller. This is comparison disguised as self-improvement. And it is poison. Nothing destroys gratitude faster, because comparison is built on incomplete information. You see outcomes, not sacrifice. You see highlights, not loneliness. You see applause, not anxiety. You are comparing your real life to carefully edited illusions, and your nervous system cannot always tell the difference. So people wake up already feeling behind, before the day even begins. The Stoics believed every human being has a nature to live in accordance with. Your work is not to become a copy of another life. Your work is to become fully aligned with your own. You compare your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20. Your healing to their highlight reel. Your quiet discipline to their public reward. And then you wonder why you feel empty. A calm, ordinary life with inner peace is worth more than a glamorous life built on emotional chaos. Remember that. Delete the kind of inspiration that makes you hate your own pace. The moment comparison ends, concentration begins. And when concentration begins, your life starts moving again. 6. Delete relationships built on guilt. Some relationships do not survive on love. They survive on guilt. You answer because you feel bad. You show up because you feel bad. You keep tolerating disrespect because somewhere deep down, you were taught that choosing yourself is cruelty. So you become accessible to everything that drains you. And over time, you confuse loyalty with self-erasure. But here's what nobody says out loud. People who only keep you close through guilt are not holding on to you. They are holding on to your convenience. Stoicism is often misunderstood as emotional detachment. It's not. It's emotional responsibility. And that means recognizing when your presence is being extracted, not appreciated. If someone only knows how to keep you close by making you feel guilty, that is not connection. That is control. If every boundary you set is treated as betrayal, that is not love. That is dependence wearing the mask of intimacy. Delete guilt-built relationships quietly. No dramatic speech, no revenge, no online announcement. Just less access, less explaining, less availability. Your life changes when your energy stops being public property. The Stoic path is not about becoming unkind. It is about becoming clear. And clarity often sounds like this. I could care about you without abandoning myself. That sentence alone could save years of your life. 7. Delete the fantasy of being liked by everyone. Here's the truth. Nobody wants to say out loud. If everyone likes you, you are probably editing yourself too much. Because truth divides, boundaries divide, Integrity divides. Not everyone is supposed to feel comfortable with your growth. Some people benefit from your weakness. Some people benefit from your confusion. Some people benefit from your endless politeness. The moment you become difficult to exploit, their opinion changes. Good. Let it. Seneca understood that public approval is unstable currency. If you build your identity on it, your character will constantly bend to the room you're in. You'll become one person here, another person there, smiling where you should speak, agreeing where you should walk away. And then one day you won't even know who you are without an audience. Delete the fantasy of universal approval. You're not here to be digestible to everyone. You are here to live honorably, truthfully, and with self-command. Some will respect you. Some will misunderstand you. Some will resent that they can no longer access the old version of you. None of that changes the assignment. A strong life is not built by collecting approval. It is built by being able to sleep at night with your own conscience. And that will always matter more than applause. 8. Delete the version of you that lives only in memory. This one is subtle. Sometimes the heaviest thing you carry is not another person. It's an old identity. The version of you that used to be chosen. The version before the heartbreak, before the failure, before the burnout, before life forced you to become someone else. And so you keep looking backward, not because the past was perfect, but because it was familiar. You miss who you were, and maybe secretly, you're angry that life changed you. But here's the brutal truth. You are not going back. That chapter is over. That innocence is over. That season is over. And painful as it is, freedom begins when you stop demanding that life return what it has already taken. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now." Not as pessimism, as awakening. A reminder that time is limited. So why continue protecting identities that are destroying your future? There's a new self trying to emerge in you. Wiser, quieter, less naive, more discerning. But it cannot fully arrive while you keep worshiping who you used to be. Delete the version of yourself that exists only in memory. Honor them, grieve them, learn from them. But do not remain loyal to a past identity at the cost of your future life. Sometimes growth feels like betrayal only because the old self is begging not to be left behind. Leave anyway. 9. Delete constant self-criticism. A lot of people think harshness is discipline. It's not. There is a difference between holding yourself accountable and attacking yourself every single day. Some of you are trying so hard to become better, but the voice in your head sounds like an enemy. You call yourself lazy, behind, stupid, weak, broken. Even when you're trying, even when you're surviving, even when you're caring more than anyone knows. Stoicism is not self-hatred. It is self-governance. And a good ruler does not burn his own city down every morning. Yes, examine yourself. Yes, correct your habits. Yes, tell the truth about your flaws. But do it like a builder, not an executioner. The point is not to destroy yourself into greatness. The point is to train yourself into alignment. Constant self-criticism doesn't always make you stronger. Sometimes it just makes you exhausted. And exhausted people make desperate choices. Delete the inner language that makes growth feel like punishment. Try this instead. Not, "Why am I like this?" but, "What needs to change, and how do I begin?" Not, "I always ruin everything," but, "I made a mistake. I can respond better next time." That shift sounds small. It isn't. Because the way you speak to yourself becomes the emotional climate you live in. And some of you have been living in an internal war zone for too long. 10. Delete entertainment. that numbs you but never restores you. There is rest. And then there is sedation. One heals you, the other helps you avoid yourself. You say you're relaxing, but afterward you feel dull, heavier, more disconnected, less alive, because not everything that distracts you is helping you recover. The modern world profits from your numbness. If you are constantly stimulated, constantly scrolling, constantly consuming, you remain too distracted to confront your life. And a distracted person is easy to control. Peace was never missing. You were simply drowning it in noise. The Stoics valued leisure, but not mindless escape. They believed the mind should be nourished, not drowned. Ask yourself honestly, does this help me return to myself? Or does it help me hide from myself? Some content leaves you clearer. Some leaves you emptier. Some habits restore your spirit. Others just keep you unconscious. Delete the forms of entertainment that quietly weaken your mind. You do not need to become joyless. You do not need to reject pleasure. But you do need to notice what your soul feels like after what you consume. Protect that world. It becomes your life. 11. Delete conversations that exist but only to judge others. There are conversations that make you feel connected for a moment, but smaller afterward. Gossip does that, not because it is dramatic, because it is corrosive. At first, it feels harmless, just an observation, just venting, just a few comments about someone else's choices. But slowly, it trains your mind toward pettiness. And once your mind becomes addicted to other people's flaws, your own character begins to decay in places you cannot immediately see. A mind with no mission always looks for a target. The Stoics asked a difficult question. Is this making me wiser, stronger, more just, more disciplined? Most gossip fails every test, and worse, it wastes the one resource you never get back. Attention. Imagine how many lives remain average because their energy is spent discussing people instead of becoming people of substance. Delete conversations that revolve around judgment. You do not need to be self-righteous. You do not need to correct everyone. Just stop participating. Sometimes maturity is hearing an invitation into negativity and refusing it without a speech. Silence is powerful, especially when people expect your agreement. A cleaner tongue creates a cleaner mind, and a cleaner mind creates a calmer life. 12. Delete the fear of missing out. One of the greatest lies of modern life is this: if you are not everywhere, you are missing life. But many people are everywhere and nowhere within themselves. The Stoics understood that every yes is also a no. Every path chosen closes another path. That is not tragedy. That is life. Yet so many people live haunted by alternatives. Maybe I should have gone. Maybe I should have stayed. Maybe I'm falling behind. Maybe everyone is living more fully than I am. No. Most people are not living more fully. They are simply more visibly distracted. You do not need every invitation, every trend, every experience, every room. A meaningful life is not built by touching everything. It is built by committing to what matters. Discipline is exclusion. Peace is exclusion. Mastery is exclusion. Delete the fear of missing out and replace it with the joy of missing what does not align. Missing noise is not loss. Missing chaos is not loss. Missing places where you must perform to belong is not loss. When you finally stop fearing what you are not part of, you can start building what you actually want. And that is when life stops feeling scattered. 13. Delete your secret addiction to drama. Let's be brutally honest for a moment. Not all chaos in your life is accidental. Some of it you keep inviting back, because peace feels unfamiliar, because drama feels stimulating, because intensity convinces you something meaningful is happening. You say you want calm, but calm feels boring to a nervous system trained on instability. So you text the person you know will disturb your peace. You revisit the conversation you know will trigger you. You romanticize emotional turbulence because stillness forces you to face yourself. This is not judgment. It's awareness. And awareness is where Stoic power begins. The Stoics trained themselves to stop being ruled by impulse, not because life should be emotionless, but because untrained emotion becomes self-sabotage. Delete your addiction to drama, not just external drama, internal drama too. The dramatic story that says everything is over. The dramatic assumption that someone's silence means rejection. The dramatic spiral that turns one bad day into an identity crisis. Sometimes peace feels empty at first, because chaos used to make you feel alive. Stay with the peace anyway. Eventually your body learns that calm is not danger. It is safety. It is maturity. It is freedom. And once you become a person who no longer needs emotional storms to feel something, your life changes fast. 14. Delete the belief that healing must be seen to be real. A lot of people delay transformation because they want witnesses. They want the comeback to be visible. They want people to notice the discipline. They want the public proof that they are doing better. But some of the most sacred changes in life happen where nobody claps. In the mornings you get up when no one is watching. In the conversations you choose not to send. In the habits you maintain quietly. In the pain you stop broadcasting. In the standard you hold even when it would be easier to collapse. Stoicism is deeply private in this way. It asks, who are you when nobody is validating your effort? Because that is your real character. Delete the belief that healing must be visible to count. Not everyone needs access to your rebuilding. Not every improvement needs an announcement. Not every victory needs to be turned into content. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is become unrecognizable in silence. Quiet discipline unsettles people because it cannot be interrupted by opinion. Let your healing be yours. Let your standards be private. Let your progress be intimate. Let your peace grow roots before you show anyone the tree. There is a kind of dignity in becoming whole without needing an audience to certify it. Protect that dignity. 15. Delete what you keep pretending doesn't need to end. And now the hardest one. Delete what you already know needs to end. Because deep down, you already know. The habit, the relationship, the environment, the excuse, the identity, the routine, the waiting, the attachment to what is clearly draining your spirit. You know. But knowing is not the same as acting. So you delay, you negotiate, you ask for one more sign, one more chance, one more conversation, one more month, one more year. And life keeps getting quieter around the truth until eventually the truth becomes unbearable. The Stoics were students of impermanence. They knew life is short, not as a cliché, as a command. Do not waste years pretending clarity has not already arrived. Sometimes the answer does not come as a dramatic revelation. Sometimes it comes as exhaustion. You are tired for a reason. You are confused for a reason. You are restless for a reason. Your soul has been signaling that something is misaligned. And the longer you delay the ending, the more of your life gets paid to what is already over. This is where courage enters. Not loud courage. Quiet courage. The kind that packs the bag, sends the message, changes the habit, deletes the contact, leaves the room, lets the old self die, lets the chapter end. No revenge, no speech, no performance, just truth in motion. Delete what needs to end, because your next life does not begin when you feel fully ready. It begins the moment you stop protecting what is no longer meant to remain. So let's strip it all down. Delete the need to explain yourself. Delete the habit of checking who notices. Delete the resentment you secretly keep alive. Delete fake urgency. Delete comparison disguised as inspiration. Delete relationships built on guilt. Delete the fantasy of being liked by everyone. Delete the version of you that lives only in memory. Delete constant self-criticism. Delete entertainment that numbs you. Delete conversations that only exist to judge others. Delete the fear of missing out. Delete your secret addiction to drama. Delete the belief that healing must be seen. Delete what you keep pretending doesn't need to end. Not all at once. Not perfectly. Not performatively. Quietly. That is the part most people won't understand. Real transformation is often invisible in the beginning. No one sees the app you stopped opening, the call you stopped answering, the argument you refused to continue, the resentment you released, the bedtime you protected, the approval you stopped chasing, the silence you stopped fearing. But they will see the result. They will notice your calm, your restraint, your clarity, your discipline, your reduced need to prove anything. And they'll call it a glow-up, a comeback, a shift in energy. But you'll know what it really was: a purge, a private war against everything that weakened you. And the victory was not loud. It was quiet. If you've made it this far, understand this. Your life may not need more hype. It may need more removal, more cutting, more honesty, more courage to let go of what secretly keeps you weak. Because every powerful life is built the same way, not just by what it chooses to carry, but by what it finally refuses to keep. So start today. Pick one thing, just one. Delete it quietly, and let that small act become evidence that you are no longer negotiating with what drains you. Because when you stop feeding poison, healing begins fast. And when your life gets quieter, your power gets louder.